Good morning, secured entrepreneurs. Happy Money Monday. This is Money Monday, and it's also the very first day of the second quarter. Now, all of you who have come on board in the first quarter, we have already been preparing 60 days ago for this quarter because it's hot like that. All right. In this video, Miss Aurorah is going to get into the six money lessons that Miss Aurorah had to learn early on in her entrepreneurial journey. And the reason why we're going to get into this today on Money Monday is because of the influx of emails. And I want to thank you for emailing. Please continue to do so at info@aurorahdayconsulting.com. And when you get onto the calendar and we begin to flush things out, I'm seeing that this is exactly what you need. So can we do it? All right. So for those of you who do not know who I am Miss Aurorah Dey, and this is the Secured Entrepreneur Movement. Secured entrepreneurs, I was dropping real gems for you all on Saturday at the Westin, Lake Las Vegas. But the wind was blowing so bad. I mean, I'm telling you, I said, okay, I cannot publish this video because I was all over the place. My clothes were disheveled. It was crazy. All I could do was sit down and get the champagne popping. It was a hot mess. All right. But I'll bring it in at some point. I'll bring those gems in at some point because I was really getting into the event that we're going to be having this summer, the annual Sole Proprietor to CEO golf tournament. Hello. And I do believe that the Westin is going to be our host hotel. But Ms. Aurorah will get into that a little bit later on in this month. Okay. So the very first thing, the very first lesson, and the very first habit that all entrepreneurs really need to implement daily is the power of leveraging your time, your money, and your expertise. Now, most of the secured entrepreneurs are very familiar with Miss Aurorah's story, the start of this journey, how we got here, all right? How it is that I'm able to teach all of these secured entrepreneurs all of these very big, bright, beautiful tricks of the trade when it comes to operating properly in commerce. When Miss Aurorah first started, all of the things that I give to the secured entrepreneurs didn't have it, right? And this is when my first mentor stepped in. And my first mentor, as a matter of fact, at that time had been a veteran certified public accountant. And I think at that time he was 37 years in, okay? And he is the man who taught me all of the goodies, everything, okay? So during that time, I had a very bad business deal. I lost the business. I was being sued by all of the subcontractors. I had a cricket contractor who had subcontractors work on a building that we were outfitting for a larger project that was going on at the time. And so when those subcontractors did not get paid and the cricket contractor ran off to God knows where, who did they start to sue? They started to sue Miss Aurorah. And this is when Miss Aurorah realized that she was operating in commerce incorrectly. So I had to file a bankruptcy, all right? And it was just the dark night of the soul for real. And it was ugly. You hear what I say? Okay, so the very first thing that I had to learn was how it was I was going to leverage my time, my money, and my expertise. So the time really had to do with the fact that when Miss Aurorah first started, like many of you, there was a job. Okay, so you have 12 hours in the day, 12 hours at night. Okay, you spent almost 10 hours getting yourself ready to go to work, being at work, coming back home from work. And then how many of you, have the responsibilities, and how many of you know Miss Aurorah had responsibilities? Okay, I had responsibilities. So you got your household expenses, the people who are in your house. I mean, all of that. Okay, what time and how much of it was I going to dedicate to doing what it is that I knew that I needed to be doing because the job was not going to cut it. And how many of you know the job is not going to give you the lifestyle that you truly desire? And if you know that you are designed to be an entrepreneur, you're not going to last long on a job anyway, just over booty. Okay, it's not gonna work, right? So I had to learn when it was I was going to put time into what it is that I had to do, and how I was going to monetize the time, how it was I was going to make that time lucrative as it related to me personally and professionally. So that's number one there, leveraging of the time. And then the money, hello, remember now, if you are attached to a paycheck, maybe you were getting the paycheck every other week, like Miss Aurorah was. I was getting a paycheck twice a month. And then, like I said, the responsibilities. All right, how much of this money is being allocated towards this entrepreneurial venture? One of the things that happened during that time as well, a little bit after this, I went to see Lisa Nichols in Costa Mesa. And one of the things that she spoke about was how your job was going to be your first financer. And she told this story of how she would mail a check to the bank or a money order. I don't know what she would do. She would mail it to the bank and put on the check something about for her dream. Okay. And she had saved up all this money so that she could come out and do what she needed to do. Right. So she talked about how you're going to have to figure out how it is you're going to make the monies from your job stretch so that you can actually begin to capitalize your entrepreneurial vision, what it was that you were going to do. And that's one of the things that my mentor had to really get with me on heavily, because now you have to know I'm devastated. Okay. And I'm like, there was no going back to a job in the first place after the bankruptcy. I don't think I was able to really get a job after that. Okay. So the monies that were coming in from what I was still able to do, he was like, all right, how you going to live this out? What are you going to do? Let's start mapping this out. And then the expertise, because what's happening is that when you have more time than you have money, now you have to let your expertise rise and shine. You know how the power is vested in you? You got to let the power that's vested in you rise and shine. Your expertise now has to spring forward, and you must know how to leverage your expertise. Why? Because you can no longer, because you can't afford to do it. Because remember, we already know, everybody here already knows, if you are not profiting from your venture, you don't have a business, you have a very expensive hobby. Okay, so the leveraging of your expertise comes in when you are now able to create the ways where people are now going to have an energy exchange with you, a financial energy exchange for your expertise. All right. So lesson number one, the power of leveraging your time, your money, and your expertise. Lesson number two, the second thing that Miss Aurorah had to learn was how to protect her assets via legal entities. Now, this is what Miss Aurorah is truly an expert at, because I needed it so badly. One of the things that my mentor said to me at the time was, had you had your legal entities in place properly, yes, this incident would have happened because you can't control what other people are going to do, but you would have been able to do what most corporations do, which is, all right, we're going to file this bankruptcy, but we still have access to the assets that we need to have this business go, flow, and grow, right? You would have been able to reestablish yourself within the next 30 days, a new legal entity with the use of the assets that were protected. But because Miss Aurorah didn't know, it was belly up, right? So one of the things that all of the secured entrepreneurs know is that you must have properly structured legal entities. And one of the things that we do make sure happens here, because a majority of the entrepreneurs today have absolutely no interest in creating large companies. Most people are really one-person businesses, right? You're a one-person business, but you don't have any business looking that way. Okay. You have no business operating that way in commerce. Okay. So understand that you must have the ability to protect all of your assets, your professional as well as your personal assets via legal entities. And everybody here knows that Miss Aurorah is the trust goddess. Okay, where is the crown? All right, that was lesson number 2. And please, if you don't understand what Miss Aurorah is talking about, go down in the links below, click on tax-free wealth, watch that training. That is a very robust, it's an express lesson because you know Miss Aurorah values your time. So it's about 17 minutes. Okay, but you're going to get a robust lesson in how it is you're going to protect your assets via legal entities while you are establishing tax-free wealth. All right. The third thing that Miss Aurorah had to learn, and this was a deep lesson, Miss Aurorah had to plan for taxes and minimize liabilities. Now, everybody here in the Secured Entrepreneur Movement knows that we follow the Robert Kiyosaki philosophy. We are well aware of the Robert Kiyosaki cash flow quadrant. We do not do the left side, which is the employee and the sole proprietor. We go from sole proprietor to CEO here, right? So we are on the right side. We are the business owner with the systems and on down into the investor, which makes us the CEO of our own companies and things like that, right? So because we understand that we are going to utilize every tax deferral strategy known to man, Miss Aurorah had to learn how to plan for taxes and minimize liabilities. So that meant that I had to learn how to properly structure a legal entity to take advantage of tax deferral strategies, right? So the minimizing the liabilities meant that I had to, and this is going to lead to the next thing, I had to do away with things that were not creating resources, income, things like that. I had to do away with the things that did not do anything for the bottom line financially, did not assist me financially, did not assist the business financially. Those things are liabilities. Now, I know that, a majority of people, because you guys send me these videos, okay, of these people saying, yeah, I got X amount of business credit, and they didn't invest in their business. They went out there and bought a bunch of liabilities that bring absolutely no money, okay? So the way in which that I was taught to plan for taxation was to assure that there would be minimal tax to pay, mainly because one of the liabilities is paying yourself. And I never thought of it that way. I had never seen it that way until I was mentored to understand that I'm creating a liability when I even have the thought process that I need to pay myself. That's really an indicator that I'm not really thinking like a wealthy individual. I'm not really thinking about long-term success and longevity and generational wealth. I'm not thinking about those things because I still have an employee mindset. Okay. So I had to cut that. And many of these secured entrepreneurs and the visiting entrepreneurs, hey, okay, listen, press the like button. Share this video, subscribe if you have not, all right? Because we got the juice over here, all right? This is not jumping around, clowning, making fancy videos. Miss Aurorah can't do all that, all right? So the reality was and still is that we all become attached to the check. Like, wait a moment, aren't I supposed to get a check? Like, how's this happening? So I had to learn that these entities now take care of me. All of these things take care of me. I don't need the things that I thought I needed before, and I come away with way more. Right? So that led into the next thing. I think this is number 4. Adapting the mindset of the rich, adapting the mindset of the wealthy. I had to understand that I had to employ strategies. I had to understand techniques. I had to overcome fear of risk, things like that. I had to understand that, for example, if somebody said, well, how much money do you make? The majority of people are going to say, well, they make X amount of dollars an hour. Or if they are salaried, well, they make X amount of dollars a month. But it doesn't happen that way